Hospital. They were negative on a field sobriety test and blew a 0.0 on the breathalyzer. So the cause of the accident, motive, anything is unknown at this time. And so we're waiting to hear more from the CHP as they do their investigation. And now we're just facing some life-altering injuries from some most severely injured recruits. And with that, let me turn it over to actually Chief Marone, if you could provide comment.
Yeah, certainly. Good morning. First, I'd like to state that this is certainly a tragedy for the county family, and all 5,000 fire department members are keeping our sheriff's sister and brothers in their thoughts and prayers. So at about 6:25 this morning, like Sheriff Villanueva said, the fire station, which was just almost only about 500 feet away from this tragic accident scene, the deputies came and knocked on the door and requested their assistance. That's Fire Station 96 in unincorporated Whittier. They immediately drove out to the scene. They started to triage numerous patients, trying to identify the most critically injured. It's my understanding that the Sheriff's Department took the 4 most critical patients to the hospital immediately before the paramedic squads arrived, probably saving the lives of those sheriff recruits. The total LA County Fire Department response consisted of 7 engine companies, 2 truck companies, 4 paramedic rescue squads. We did send 3 helicopter air squads and only used 1 of those helicopter air squads to fly 2 patients to Harbor General Hospital. And then we also had command staff respond. Most of the patients were distributed, like Sheriff Villanueva said, between St. Francis, UCI Medical Center, LA County USC, Harbor General Hospital, and also Whittier Presbyterian. And that's it for the fire department update.
Hello, my name is Pat McDonald. I'm the captain of the LA County Sheriff's Department's Training Bureau, which oversees the LA County Sheriff's Academy. This was a typical run that we do throughout the 22-week program that we have at the Sheriff's Department. Physical fitness is a big part of the regiment. This morning they stepped off with their drill instructors, along with 2 black and white radio cars, which are safety vehicles, as well as 8 road guards. Those are recruits that wear reflective vests. They proceeded in their run westbound Telegraph Road towards Mills Road. Once they got to Mills Road, they made a northbound turn using the safety vehicles to block traffic accordingly, at which point the running formation of recruits ran northbound and went into a modified formation into 2 columns versus 4, just because of the terrain and the traffic was somewhat heavy going westbound. So once they made their northbound turn on Mills Road, the formation caught back up to 4 columns, at which point they were struck by a vehicle that was in the southbound lanes that went to the northbound lanes and hit several recruits, as stated earlier. I'd like to answer any questions at this point.
Were they guarded by the vehicles today?
Yes, ma'am.
Can you tell us how many of them were male and female?
I don't have a specific breakdown, but I believe there's approximately 10 females in that class 464. No, females, yes.
Captain, have all of the families of those that have been injured been notified at this point?
Yes, sir.
You mentioned you mentioned the road cars wearing reflective vests. What is the attire of the recruits? What are they wearing? Is anything reflective? Any kind of flashlights or anything like that?
The recruits wear bright white t-shirts as well as green, Sheriff's Department green shorts. And the 8 road guards that spread themselves out accordingly to protect the running formation, that's a green and orange reflective vest.
Did the element leaders of the cars involved running escort for the group, for the formation, how much warning do you think they had that something was wrong, that this vehicle was coming?
They had 0 warning. They were blocking the northbound lane on Mills, And so the platoon, the running formation turned northbound, so that vehicle is now to the rear. Once all the runners were to pass those vehicles, that vehicle would catch up to the front. It didn't have a chance yet, and that's when the vehicle that was in the southbound lane went in the northbound lane.
I'm trying to understand this at this point. So in other words, we had really the squad running itself, the vehicle was blocking other traffic.
Yes.
There was nobody in front of them. as they
Correct.
were running.
Correct.
Is this a route they take every day so that someone could see potentially a routine?
It's not every day, ma'am, but it is pretty frequent. The Sheriff's Academy has been there since 1982, and the unincorporated area of Whittier is very familiar with the recruits running on the roads. There's several routes that are
Have you
taken.
talked to any of the drill instructors? What have they told you about what they saw and what happened at that point?
It's exactly what I said. They once the running formation turned northbound, the vehicle careened into the platoon. Now there was a light pole on the east side of the street, and the one thing that was relayed to me was thank God for that light pole, because the vehicle ultimately hit it and stopped, as opposed to possibly hitting more recruits.
So it was from the light pole first?
No, after,
So it went down into the recruits?
and then the light pole. Yes, sir.
You said there were four recruits running across, is that correct?
No, 4 columns of recruits. So there's 75 recruits. Of those 75 recruits, it's broken into 4 columns, smallest to tallest.
Of the critical injuries, can you tell us what the nature of the injuries were, and are they all expected to survive? Do we know yet?
I can't comment on that. I don't have the information, sir. I know 5 are critical.
And so are they running on the sidewalks or the streets, like how far?
It is the street closest to the curb.
Is there any indication that this was intentional?
Let me answer. In fact, if I could have the doctor of UCI just, the range of injuries we have obviously are head trauma. We have broken bones. We've had some loss of limb, for example. Those are the severe range of injuries. These are life-threatening injuries, and I think the doctor can provide the best in his own words the quality of care he received here.
Yeah, so as a level 1 trauma center, and the only one in Orange County, we have tremendous amount of resources. There were 3 trauma surgeons who are readily available when the patients arrived here, as well as countless other nurses and other extenders and people to help with the care of all these patients. So they're receiving outstanding care here, and we have all the resources available to help them in their recoveries.
So doctor, can you explain the injuries for the patients who are here?
So cannot comment on that yet. There's 1 patient who is here in critical condition, another one in good condition, and there are 2 that we are hopeful will be discharged soon.
And are they men or
And those are only the patients here at UCI, as there were patients at other hospitals, as was already stated.
and males or females?
Don't comment on that unless they will.
Were any of the amputees brought here?
We don't have an amputee here.
You as a physician, they mentioned that 4 were transported immediately by the sheriff's office. How critical is that in a life-saving situation to not wait for an ambulance and transport these individuals themselves to hopefully get them the medical attention they need?
Sorry.
In your expertise, how important is it to not wait for an ambulance like they did not to transport some of these cadets to a local hospital to get them the attention they need?
In places across the country, police will actually transport patients, so it depends on the situation and the circumstances. But there are times where getting them to a hospital as quick as possible is the most important thing.
Doctor, the one who was critical, was that person airlifted here, driven here, did he even come out?
I don't know.
When you got the word of the alert that you had a mass casualty event, how long was it before the patients hit here? 10 minutes, 15 minutes?
Don't have the exact time from when there. We get a page that is sent out to us, and so, but there's already resources here, so we're already here, and that's the part that we can control.
Ballpark, rough estimate, 15 minutes, 20 minutes?
Don't know.
Less?
Are they all in the intensive care unit right now?
So no, not all of them. As I said, 2 are hopeful to be discharged from the emergency department.
Can you tell us your name and spell it, please?
Jeffrey, Jeffry. Last name is Namias, Nahmias.
Sheriff, I may be a little bit soon, but have you had a chance to go into the facility to talk to any of those deputies who might be discharged, some of the cadets who were injured? Have you had a chance to talk with any of them at this time?
Yes, I've talked to the recruits. I talked to one of the recruits who was a road guard in the front of the formation. I've talked to the staff that were with the formation themselves, and it's a tragic event, very traumatic for all people involved. We have our employee services support team that are there now offering counseling and support at the academy, and we have them also here at all the hospitals where all of our personnel are now currently being treated. We actually, 2 families are the ones that were most critical. We airlifted the families to get them to the hospital so they could visit their loved one. And that was at, I think it was USC and here at UCI.
Sheriff, you've got almost 38 years on with the department right now. You're about ready to retire, if you would. Have you ever seen a mass casualty event like this involving sheriff's deputies? How would you?
This is very, very odd, to say the least. I don't think I've ever heard of this. We've had an occasional injury in training of one individual, maybe shrapnel at the range, or a broken limb or something that happens in physical training, defensive tactics. Those things we've seen periodically because of just the sheer volume of people we put through the academy. It happens, but something like this is unique. I've never heard of it before.
Would you say that preliminarily this is an accident, or was it something intentional?
I'll leave that up to the CHP to determine, and what we look so far, it looks like it's an accident, a horrific accident, but we can't know that for sure until the CHP does their investigation and reaches a conclusion based on all the evidence they still have yet to gather.
Do you have any more insight on the recruits who were on scene and apparently stopped this driver, tried to get him out of the car? Any more details?
They detained the driver, and they secured them in the back seat of the actual one of the patrol vehicles that was following the class and was used as protection. So, in myself, I was a academy staff instructor a quarter of a century ago, and we did the exact same thing. And fortunately, every class typically we have EMTs. I think this class even had an RN who was a recruit. So they are able to provide first aid right on the spot with the equipment they had. They went over, ran to the fire station, knocked on the door because it was literally just half a block away. That was fortunate as well. So things are working in our favor happened, but the deputies at the front of the formation could see the vehicle coming, and they were able to get out of the way. But the people they were behind the ones in the front could not see what was in front of them, and those are the ones that were not able to get out of the way and took the brunt of the impact.
And how did your staff, Sheriff, describe that? The staff that was there, as the car was coming toward them, what did they tell you?
It happened so quickly that just the people that just saw it veer into them, they jumped out of the way, but the people behind had no chance because they never saw it. They didn't have that sufficient warning. But as soon as the accident happened, the chaos, that ensued, it said it looked like an airplane wreck. There were so many bodies scattered everywhere in different states of injury that it was pretty traumatic for all individuals involved.
When were they supposed to graduate?
This class was in its 8th week, so they had 14 weeks to go. And what they have going in their favor is that they're all young, able-bodied, and good health, and Lord willing, they'll be able to recover, all of them, even the one who is currently in the most critical state at St. Francis. But they're just going to have a long road to recovery for those that had the most severe injuries.
What's your message to those who sent life-altering injuries for some of these recruits who possibly may never get a chance to protect and serve? What's your message to them, to their families, as they hopefully make a full recovery?
Well, we hope all of them make a full recovery. They'll have a chance to come back and complete the academy. That's my goal.
Sure. Can you talk about the effort to get the family members to the hospital? That's unusual. Can you talk about the effort to get the family members here as quickly as possible, utilizing the helicopters and why you thought it was important?
Every time there's a deputy-involved shooting where an officer is down, we always do that. We offer that for any agency as well. And it's an important thing to get the family there at the side of their loved one as they're going through what could be a life-altering situation. So that's a standard practice.
Approximately how fast was the car going, and did it appear that the driver had his foot on the gas the whole time?
Some recruits are saying they heard the car accelerating. They estimate around 30 miles an hour, 30 to 40 miles an hour. And as you can see, how little reaction time that allows someone, because that's going pretty fast.
Spanish, sir?
Is there any skid marks in the road?
No, there were no skid marks.
You about drug testing on this driver? What's
That-
gonna happen?
That information we don't have available. The CHP will have that once they finish their analysis and get all the lab test results.
Could we trouble you for some Spanish for
Sí, cambiando al español, trágicamente reportamos que a las 6:20 de la mañana en la parte de la ciudad de Whittier que no está incorporado.
As we've been listening in to the press conference held by Sheriff Alex Villanueva and other entities, we've learned a little bit more, not least of which that lives were saved by some of the fire department taking the victims to the hospital before paramedics even arrived. We did get information that there are now 25 total injuries in the cadet group, in addition to the driver who was also injured. So that makes 26 hurt, 16 minor, 4 moderate, 5 critical. And this is new information as well, life-altering injuries. They talked about the possibility of one of the victims losing a limb. They did not get into specifics about that. There were 75 recruits in all, but also we're learning they weren't all sheriff's recruits. There were some from Bell had 2 from their police department. Glendale had 2. Pasadena also had some. And then they talked about the formation where they were running and the police vehicles or the safety vehicles they had with them. The safety vehicles being behind the group of 4x4 in that group of people. And it was that first group of people who saw the vehicle coming and were able to get out of the way, but those behind were not able to get out of the way and took the blunt force trauma of the vehicle hitting them. Other deputies, deputy recruits say that they felt like the vehicle was accelerating. There were no skid marks there. You heard from Sheriff Villanueva just a moment ago. But again, we're going to learn so much more about this. The primary information today was that the Fire Station 96, so close, they were able to almost provide immediate assistance because the deputy cadets and the deputies themselves were able to get help and come back. We'll have more on this for Eyewitness News at 11 a.m. And of course, if news breaks, you can find it on the ABC 7 Los Angeles app. We'll see you at 11 a.m.